that when you serve the country irrespective of which government is in office. You serve the country because you are there to serve its people and not whoever appointed you. So this afternoon, that's our reason. And we'll start with an opening prayer. We'll invite someone from the police chaplaincy to give us the opening prayer. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Let us pray. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Oh Allah, we thank you for gathering us here today in goodness with a noble purpose. The launch of a book dedicated to knowledge, reflection, and benefit. Oh Allah, make this book we are about launching a source of guidance, inspiration, and life for all who read it. Let it be a means to draw hearts closer to the truth, to wisdom, and to your pleasure. Bless the author, the publisher, and all who contributed to this noble effort. Increase them in sincerity, knowledge, and blessings in this world and the next. Oh Allah, place your blessings in events, in our events, in our time, in our intentions. Allow this gathering to be one that ends your mercy and pleasure. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا أنت مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم ووفقنا إلى الحق وإلى طريق المستقيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وسلم. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, as I indicated earlier, lots of dignitaries have joined us this afternoon. We'll be introducing them as and when we continue with the program. Of course, the IGP, that's the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Christian Tete, we know is here with us for the Police Management Board. Thank you all of you for making time to join us this afternoon. I've also seen the Chief of Staff who's here with us, the Honorable Julius Deba. Thank you very much for joining us. I've seen Professor Ken Atefra, who's immediate past Executive Secretary of the National Identification Authority. I've seen Mr. Seth Tepe, who is Economic Advisor to the President. I've seen the Honorable Mohammed Muntaka, who is the Minister of Interior. I've already introduced the Chairman of the Council of State and former Speaker of Parliament, Edward Do Ajaho. As we move on, we'll be introducing other guests. We're compiling the list, so please bear with us. Now, time for us to know the Chairman for today's occasion. Now, the Chairman is known in his private life as Patrick Agboba, born on the 22nd of March 1938 at Tafiatona in the Volta region. Now, he had his education records as follows: that is, middle school leaving certificate, the General Certificate of Education, Diploma in Anti-Terrorism, and certificate from Louisiana University. Now, he was enlisted into the Ghana Police Service in 1957 and served for over 43 years in the police force, where he held many positions, including Commissioner of Police, Training, Shadow Officer Training and Welfare, Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of Special Police Force, Deputy Commissioner, Serious Crime CID Headquarters, Deputy Regional Commander, Assistant Commissioner, Special Investigations Unit, and Regional Commander, Northern Region, Regional Chairman, the National Road Safety Committee, and Regional Commander, Volta Region, as well as Head of First Fire Head Office, including other positions such as Divisional Crime Officer, Brazil Division, Divisional Commander, Akinaban, District Commander, Chinswodo. Now, with all these ranks and various positions, he also had international appointments with the United Nations, and he assisted in planning peace mission in New York, USA, for Namibia and Cambodia. He was the commander in charge of the Ghana Police contingent in Cambodia. and UN observer in South Africa, and he was later appointed as UN Peace Force Coordinator. Now, in the year 2000, he retired as an accomplished Commissioner of Police, and he was installed as the AROMA of the Anglo State. Currently, he is a board member of the Governors Presbyterian University College in Hull in the Volta region, and also a member of the. So let's welcome the chairman for today's event. Is the AROMA Deputy the Third. Let's welcome the chairman for the occasion.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues in the police service, both serving and retired. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a distinct honor and privilege to serve as chairman of this historic occasion. The official launch of an AROMA for policing, a memo by our own Mr. Muhammad ALHASSAN, former Inspector General of Police. This gathering is momentous, not merely for the caliber of those present, but for the significance of the occasion itself. For the first time in our nation's history, a former IGP has taken the bold step to document and share his lived experiences, professional journey, and deep insights into policing in Ghana. From barracks life to international service, and ultimately to the actors of the police service. This is indeed a moment worth celebrating. I speak today not only as chairman, but also as someone who has had the privilege of observing the active journey from the very beginning. I first encountered this young man during his national service at the police depot. Even then, there was a spark. One could sense his dedication, discipline, and promise. I have since followed his progress closely, mentored him at critical stages, admonished when necessary, and witnessed his steady rise through the ranks with pride. I gathered to witness that another milestone in his remarkable person. This book is more than a personal story. It is a legacy project. It is a resource for future generations of police officers, policymakers, and every Ghanaian interested in understanding the evolution, challenges, and promise of policy in our country. Let us therefore not treat this merely as a book launch, but as a moment, one that calls us to reflect, to learn, to be inspired. I urge all present to lend your full support and make this event a resounding success, not just in honor of the author, but in encouragement of others to document, reflect, and contribute to our collective development. Thank you. May this occasion mark the beginning of many more such contributions to national discourse. Thank you.
We can definitely do better. Thank you very much, Chairman, for this book, the AROMA 33 Rtd. Let me apologize. While I was welcoming Toby Sri, I slipped by saying that he's the paramount chief of the Anglo State. No, he's the AROMA of the Anglo State. So Toby Marakuku Chekem, you know your name. The laughter means I have been forgiven, so I can continue. Thank you very much, Chairman, for your acceptance to chair this occasion. I like when WC was speaking, he talks about this is the first that you have a former IGP, writing his experience in the book. But I was particularly surprised, not surprised when he said, I met this young man. I am not sure I can use the same words. Even though I heard his name for the first time when my father was Western Regional Minister, my late father. At the time, he was Western Regional Police Commander. So the moment he was made IGP, I said, ALHASSAN, okay, that's good. Good to hear that he's been made IGP. And that was all. Until somewhere last week or two, when I got a call and I was told, you have to come and do this. My first response was to have said, I'm tired. But I said, okay. My father spoke well of him. Launch, and most importantly, MC it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the author of the book with a round of applause as he addresses us, former IGP Mohammed ALHASSAN. Really, from my work, you can see that I'm not young. And thank you for reminding me. Deputy Chairman, Toby Sri Rtd, the AROMA of Anglo. Your Excellency, the Chairman of the Council of State, the Honorable Chief of Staff to the President of Ghana, your Lordships, Justices of the Supreme Court of Ghana, your Excellencies here not yet identified, the Inspector General of Police who is hosting us, and members of the Police Management Board, the academia. I've seen a lot of professors here and already will turn out their pens and paper. Distinguished guests, our generals, military generals from the Ghana Armed Forces, both serving and retired, other officers from the law enforcement agencies here present. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly overwhelmed with joy and deeply honored by your presence here today at the launch of my memoir, An AROMA of Policing. The support you are showing means a lot to me. It reminds me of that Swahili proverb that states that a distant stick cannot kill a snake. It speaks to the power of support and community involvement in all efforts. Your presence here affirms that truth, and I'm sincerely grateful. This book has been a labor of love, and I'm sure there are witnesses here who will bear me out. An idea that germinated long before I ever put pen to paper. Indeed, after retiring as the Inspector General of Police, I assumed that policing, both nationally and internationally, had become a closed chapter in my life. Alas, I was mistaken. Policing never truly left me. As you will discover in the pages of the book, that is, if you buy the book, my story is rooted in heritage. My father was an escort policeman. I followed that path and walked in his footsteps. Growing up in the 1960s, policing was far from popular or a prestigious career. It certainly wasn't something I envisioned for myself, but fate had other plans. I was raised in the police barracks, schooled in the police barracks, eventually wore the police uniform, and I even found a wife in the police barracks. Jane, give away. Get up and give away. Thank you. Eventually, okay. My attention has been called to the fact that I do not acknowledge our traditional leaders. You are most welcome. I was raised in the barracks, like I said. Looking back, I now realize that policing was not just a profession, but a calling. One written long before I accepted to become a policeman. Even in retirement, my heart had remained with the police service. I felt deep urge to document my journey, not only to preserve institutional memory, but to share hard-earned lessons. One of the issues I raised in the book is how the discontinuation of useful reform programs has harmed the service. Institutions do not grow through constant reinventions. They are built through continuity, reflection, and purposeful reforms. An AROMA of policing also seeks to provoke thoughtful reflections. What is the true essence of policing? Where did we falter? Why has the uniform for some become a costume than symbol of honor and service? every officer, be you a constable, a sergeant, or a senior commander, has a role to play in restoring the pride and professionalism of the Ghana Police Service. Wearing the uniform should not be for exhibition or show of power. It must represent personal commitment to law, justice, and public trust. I also hope that this book will draw interest from academia and the media. For too long, academic inquiry into Ghanaian policing has been limited, while media narratives have often been dominated by sensationalism. We must encourage a more balanced, research-based, and constructive engagement with law enforcement. Only through such efforts can we secure not just community safety, but national peace and cohesion. At this point, let me acknowledge my family for their understanding and support. They endured long hours in solitude, my frequent distractions, and my countless drafts. Their patience and support have been the backbone of this journey. I also thank my publishers, Digi Books, for their unwavering belief in this project. Their professionalism, guidance, helped turn this dream into a reality. I am thrilled to share an hour of policing with all of you today. I hope you find it engaging, thought-provoking, and worth moment of your time. Indeed, I welcome your feedback, your questions, your criticisms, and reflections. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for honoring me with your presence and support. As the Igbo people say, when you thank someone for good they've done, they go on doing that more. May today's gratitude open doors for others who will walk in this path in the future. May Allah bless us all, and thank you for listening. Thank you very much. All this during my time. Thank you very, very much. And the point you make about the media and academia, very, very important. As a journalist and having read the book, I do acknowledge that it's a book that all of us, and I'm happy that all of us gathered here are willing to read the book. So as the program goes on, you can see the autographed ones here are becoming for you to purchase them. So just get your accounts ready so that once we start the auction, you're able to get a copy and understand everything. You know everything that we're talking about, you get to read it. And as a student of literature, I can assure you of one thing: you would enjoy reading it. Every page of this book is worth reading. Now let me continue the acknowledgement of the guests who have joined us this afternoon. Let's acknowledge the presence of Professor Vincent Ajani-Mensah, who is principal of SDA College of Education at Asokori Koforidua. Thank you very much for joining us, Prof. Let us acknowledge the presence of Professor Raymond Atuguba, who is Dean of the University of Ghana Law School. COP Nathan Kofi Bache, retired as Director of Operations at the Presidency. And Honorable Kwesi Ahoy, who is former Minister for the Interior, who was Minister for Interior at the time that Mr. Mohammed Ahmed ALHASSAN was IGP. Let's also welcome Justice Emmanuel Yemi Kolombi, who is Justice of the Supreme Court, who is here with us. Thank you very much. Joining him is Justice Isifu Tanko, who is also Justice of the Supreme Court. We also have retired IGPs here. Mr. Patrick Kwatina Champion, thank you very much for joining us. Mr. James Opamboni, thank you very, very much for joining us. And also Mr. David Asantiaketu, thank you very, very much for joining us. As we continue, we'll be introducing all those who've joined us this afternoon. But at this point, we've reached the review of the book, An AROMA Policing, a Life of Service in Law Enforcement and Global Peacekeeping. Now, the reviewer, many of us have known as international relations expert and security expert, and a former dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command Staff College. But most importantly, I can say is the reason we are here today. Because if he did not force Mr. Mohammed Ahmed ALHASSAN to go for that interview on that day, all of us may not have gathered here today. Even when Mr. ALHASSAN, and I'm quoting bits and pieces of the book so that you also get to appreciate and give you more reasons why you must buy. Because of his father's life as a policeman, one who actually used his savings to build his retirement home to send him to secondary school, he was not prepared to be a police. However, the reviewer of the book, on the day as fate would have it, forced him to go for that interview. Even when he said he did not have money, he gave him money to pick a taxi. And that is how come we're all gathered here today. Let's welcome Professor Vladimir Nkibanso with a round of applause as he reviews the book.
Thank you very much, Winston. And I think the choice of you also as the MC was not bad. It was calculated because you have one of the silkiest tongues in Ghana. Thank you. He's thrown some of the secrets I didn't want to mention in the book already out, and there's nothing I can do. Basically, when I also chose to review the book, I was a little worried. Why was I chosen? Is it because I knew almost every IGP in Ghana, including himself, or is it because I worked with the police and they didn't pay me? I don't know. In any case, I would like to ask permission to stand on the established protocol because the galaxy that I've met here, I can't miss anyone. I can see very many people whom I've known in my life. So, Mr. ALHASSAN, the protocol you established, I stand on that to say welcome to everybody. The title of the book we have been told is An AROMA of Policing, a Life of Service in Law Enforcement and Global Peacekeeping. The author, Mr. Mohammed ALHASSAN, the publisher, Divi Books, 2025, 681-page book, 681. It's voluminous but full of sense. Mr. Chairman, Toby, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, I'm standing on the protocol already established. It is very gratifying to be part of an unfolding drama, but it's even more gratifying when the role you are playing is a review of the texture of that drama as told by a very important actor of the process. Mohammed ALHASSAN was my roommate in the University of Ghana, L6 Akwapo Hall. And The names we call ourselves is Room, and he responded Room. The two of us were in the room. Once upon a time, I visited him at the headquarters as an IGP, and he decided to descend and see me off. Downstairs, people were saluting, and my rascally nature. Then, as I moved away, that time you could park in front of the headquarters. These days, you can't park here. And when I was moving to the car, I said, "Okay, enter your room." And then the policeman. So when I reached the gate, the guys over there also knew me. They stopped and said, "Sir, what was the nickname of this man?" So it's not a nickname, that's how we call ourselves. So we know each other very well. And I'm not the first to read this book. For the intellectuals, as was mentioned, if you ask Professor Tuguba to do justice to your book, he has three things to do. You give the narration of the book narrates. You have a critique. One segment of the review will be a critique. And then finally, suggest and overcome the critiques he has given to you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all. What I'm going to do about an aroma of policing, a life of service in law enforcement and global peacekeeping is to give you exactly what is in the book. To give you that aroma. Listen to how do I call it? The title of the book itself is a little, should I say, sexy? An aroma. I know an aroma is something that is pleasant. So that's what I'm going to give you. And to be given a 681-page work written by an astute professional and practitioner to review is a big test. A test on two fronts. To test my academic prowess and to test one's absorptive capacity, because I needed to read the book. But the book is written in simple language and is a tell-it-all tale fashion. It is so compelling that one hardly gets bored. No one would believe me if I said that I have covered the 681-page book in 8 days. The book is segmented into 36 pages. 36 chapters. 36 chapters. Each chapter dovetailing into the other seamlessly in a manner that makes the reader remember earlier chapters read. It was difficult at points to characterize the book. Is it an autobiography, a policy account woven on the canvas of personal experience? But I found quickly that it was neither. He himself has said it is a memoir. Yes, it's a memoir plus other things woven on a canvas that makes you believe in somebody who is projecting something from where he's coming. He's coming from that fire, and he's telling you all about it and his experience in that fire. And I found what the book is in the author's own progress. And I quote him, motivated by a profound sense of duty, I recognize the dire need to bridge the gap between past and present within the police. So, underline that, bridge the gap between past and present within the police and the general public. This realization, coupled with the absence of institutional became the driving force behind my literary endeavor. It was the compelling need to preserve the institutional memory of the Ghana Police Service as I know it, a compelling duty I felt compelled to fulfill, unquote. He adds, this memoir is not just a recounting of my personal achievements, but a testament to the part of the larger story of the Ghana Police Service. So, whilst he's telling the story about his upbringing, he was also giving us a story about the Ghana Police Service, the ins and outs, the pitfalls, the challenges, and what we have to do about those. The author notes that the book is a memoir, a journey through the war contours of the policing, the challenges and successes, that's page XII. And that journey has been beautifully crafted and encapsulated in 36 beautiful chapters, woven on the canvas of a good, easy-read English, captivating at most points through humor and down-to-earth truths about the author. The book starts off with an appetizing story about the humble beginnings of the author in chapter 1, which he called the formative years. His huge frame, creating a befitting nickname, had been. Oh, I'm right. That's right. His inevitable transfer from one station to another only described himself a constable with the main police force and later with the border guards. All of these helped in building the character and future direction of the would-be IGP. Chapters 3, 4, and 4 are an account of his education and enlistment into the Ghana Police Service, where he quickly noticed the need to recontour the Ghana Police Service, or to recontour the antennas of the service, understand the history, the philosophy, the culture of the service, which he had carried, and then the vision of which he started in chapter 5. Therefore, journey and the neighborhood watch, and he experimented this at his post as district commander at Adabraka. Chapter 10, chapter 10. So an initiative that was to, what I said earlier was in chapter 10. And that was an initiative that was to become one of the first reform platforms for Ghana Police Service as IGP. Chapter 10 also highlights the transformation that took place under his watch as IGP, reinvigorating what he termed the orphan but critical units of the police service. Of interesting read is the author's experiences abroad, starting with the UN Transition Assistant in Namibia. Subsequent to this, the author describes his duty tour at the UN headquarters, and that was in chapter 14. Here, the author leads his readers to the inner workings of the UN, the challenges and pitfalls, and these included his own failings as a mission management officer. He was not computer savvy and had to undergo computer skills. That was in page 171. According to the author, he also encountered several problems. These he listed as problems of 1. Policy development and coordination, 2. Multilateral diplomacy, 3. Resource mobilization, 4. Capacity building and training, 5. Operational oversight, 6. Information management, and lastly, adapting to changing dynamics. Pages 174 and 175. But my own observation is that these are challenges facing not the author per se. These are endemic challenges of the UN itself. How things unfolded at Angola, especially Liberia, is an experience the author shares with vivid descriptions of events and their management and also resolution in chapter 16. The challenges and the lessons learned from page 243 to 46 would form the basis for future directions of his own development. Somehow, the book is also an assessment of the Ghana Police Service, the shortcomings and needed reforms. The author recounts the withholding of promotions, including himself, which created resentment and distress in the police service. If you want to understand the history, structure, and nature or philosophy of the Ghana Police Service as it was and is now, then the author has encapsulated it all in 3 interesting chapters, 18, 19, and 20. Of interest is the description of his own role in the reshaping of the Ghana Police Service. Indeed, in a foreword to this book, Professor Raymond emphasizes that, quote, few people possess the breadth and depth of national and international policing experience that IGP ALHASSAN does, unquote. And it is this experience that the author portrays in recounting this role in reshaping the Ghana Police Service, chapter 21. Community policing, the foreign police unit, the armored car squadron, gender mainstreaming, female-formed police unit, the police staff and command college. All these were either transformed or established by the author, and it gives a vivid account of them in chapter 22. Chapter 22 devoted service, among which are corruption, welfare, and accommodation. Indeed, if one wants to understand the history, structure, form, and nature of policing in Ghana, then, Chairman, this book, especially the chapters just noted about, form the greatest source material. The concluding chapters were actually devoted to profiling recommendations. Mr. Chairman, I find this book to be not only scholarly, but also a comprehensive mix of autobiography and narrative with a story, a context, and spelled out lessons. I fully endorse and recommend the book for police training and security studies. Policymakers will also find this book as of immense treasure. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Professor Vladimir Chibanso. Let's give him another round of applause. And he's very right. So, as a student of literature, the very first thing that came to mind is the title, An AROMA of Policing, a life of service in law enforcement and global peacekeeping. Given what we term as foregrounding of imagery, you say, it paints a sudden picture in your mind. What should I expect? And as you go through the book, you see the suspense in it. So while reading the book, for instance, at the Winneba Police Barracks, where you and your friends were having a good time, at the time, for instance, where the Young Pioneers Movement, Comrade Shadow, had asked you to actually, reject all the teachings of Kwame Nkrumah. I was reading the book, and it talks about a man who was going up and down at the police station. I wanted to know who that man was. But you read that, and you see that when he takes you to another aspect of it, how he quickly went home and slept, never to come out again. But as you continue, that is every time he tells you, okay, so that man who was in there, who was subsequently told, was General Kutoka, who had led the coup. Also, the bits that you and your friends had gone to hang out in the night, where your mother was waiting for you patiently because as young boys sleeping on the veranda, you never imagine that you're going to be caught. Now, these are examples that I look at and I say, look, this could even qualify as a literary piece because all the literary devices you can think of, majority of them are in the book. So I say, get a copy. Take my word. When we get to that time, you get a copy and you wouldn't regret it. At this point also, let's acknowledge the presence of members of the Council of State. We have Chairman, I've already indicated, Chairman of the Council of State, Honorable Edward Do Ajaho. Air Marshal Michael Samson-Ojo, who's a retired CBS, is also here. Honorable Cletus Avoka is here with us. Dr. Yabamadinoho Afam Bentende is here. Hakim Abe and Honorable Alhaji Mohammed Mini, all here with us. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of all our traditional leaders who have made it here. Thank you very, very much, all our traditional leaders, all our chiefs who are here this afternoon. You are the custodians of the land, and we're grateful that you've made time to join us. I also would like to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Henry Korte, who's former Interior Minister, and Brigadier General Zidane Ayerego, who is former Commissioner Customs. Thank you very much for making time to join us this afternoon. It's now time to hear from the guest speaker for today's event. And the guest speaker is please be with me, I'll be right back. Welcome back, like we see on radio. Yes, because I realized that when I was going, I said, stay with me, I'll be right back. And that's normally something that we see on radio every now and then.
Good, good. So let's continue. As we continue, let's now welcome the guest speaker, who's Chief of Staff, the Honorable Julius Deborah, with a round of applause.
Your Excellencies, the Inspector General of Police and members of the Police Management Board, distinguished guests, members of the diplomatic and security communities, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege to join you this evening for the official launch of an AROMA of policing, a remarkable contribution to our national discourse on law enforcement, leadership, and institutional transformation. This occasion celebrates not only the life and service of a distinguished public servant, but also a deeper national commitment to reflection and reform. The author, a former Inspector General of Police and an accomplished international peacekeeper, offers a candid and compelling account of a career dedicated to public service, national security, and the professional development of the Ghana Police Service. The team I have chosen to guide this evening's reflection is reimagining policing for national development, the role of crime prevention, training, and welfare in building a trusted police service. It's both timely and resonant. It aligns seamlessly with the priorities of the government and the themes explored in the book. First, the memoir reminds us that crime prevention must be the bedrock of modern policing. We must shift from reactive policing to proactive strategies, grounded in visibility, intelligence-led operations, and strong community partnership. This requires rebuilding trust and expanding early warning systems across communities. Second, the book presents a compelling case for training and leadership development. Our police service must invest in leaders who are not only operationally competent, but committed to mentorship, innovation, and continuous learning. Specialist training is urgently needed in areas such as cybercrime, counterterrorism, public order management, forensics, and maritime security. In this light, I fully support the author's call to revive key training institutions established under the Mahama I administration, which have regrettably remained dormant for nearly a decade now. These include the Ghana Police College at the Ghana Police Staff College at Winneba, which was intended as a center for executive and strategic leadership development. The Marine Police Training School at Enyase, vital for securing our oil-rich maritime domain and riverine waters. The Police Public Safety Training School at Kuala, designed to bridge the gap between classroom learning and frontline duties. Revitalizing these institutions is essential to building a disciplined, modern, and capable service. Third, police welfare must remain in the heart of reform. The memoir clearly underscores the link between welfare, morale, and professionalism. Government reaffirms its commitment to improving conditions of service, including decent accommodation, healthcare, logistical support, and a well-supported officer is a dependable officer. Ladies and gentlemen, another area of strategic importance highlighted in the book is Ghana's contribution to international peacekeeping. Ghanaian police officers continue to uphold our nation's reputation for professionalism and integrity on global missions. The government is therefore committed to expanding institutional support to enable broader participation, especially by women, in UN and regional peace operations. To this end, Government will ensure the formation and additional foreign police units, including the long-envisioned all-female FPU, a vision first initiated in 2013 with the creation of a mobile unit. This is a critical step towards enhancing our global peacekeeping profile. In conclusion, an AROMA of policing is more than a memoir. It is a blueprint for institutional memory, a guide for leadership, a call to national action. It challenges all of us, policymakers, officers, and citizens alike, to build a police service that is trusted, professional, and fit for the future. It reminds us that reform is not a destination, but a journey requiring vision, persistence, and unity. On behalf of His Excellency the President, I warmly congratulate Mr. Mohammed ALHASSAN on this important achievement. We thank him for a lifetime of service and for offering this vital reflection to guide future generations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We can definitely do better. Round of applause for him. Thank you very much, Honorable Chief of Staff Julius Deborah. And let me acknowledge the presence of Honorable Francis Poku, former National Security Minister. Also, we have Brigadier General Abdul Amin also here with us. Thank you very much. Major General Abdullah, who is the past Commandant of the Military Academy and Staff College. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. We also have the National Association of Retired Police Officers, NAPO-GH, led by President ACP Franz Alpha Retired. Thank you very much, all of you, for making time to join us this afternoon. At this juncture, we've been seated for some time. We've listened to all the speeches, very important speeches about the book, for which reason we're all gathered here. But the police band is ready at this moment to give us a short musical interlude, and then we'll continue and hear from the current IGP. So please, band, give us some music, and then we'll continue. band. Let's give a round of applause. And let me also acknowledge the presence of Major General Emmanuel Kotsua. Thank you very, very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, a bit of housekeeping rules. So for the washrooms are behind us, the building behind us. You get there and you turn left. You see the inscriptions clearly written there, male, female. So if anybody wants to do that, you can please do that. We're also grateful to all the chiefs who've joined us this afternoon. The chiefs from the Garland, from all parts of the country, the chiefs from the Anua State who have made time to join us this morning. Thank you very, very much for making time to join us as custodians of the land. We acknowledge you and are grateful that you made time to join us this afternoon. Now, before we go for the musical interlude, I indicated that right after that, we'll be joined by the guest of honor, the man who's hosting us here today. He's the current IGP with 40 years experience in policing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yorumo.
Your Eminence Chair, Togus Rtd, the welfare of our. Please permit me to stand on already existing protocol. Today I stand before you with reverence as the guest of honor for this significant occasion. The life of the memory of one of Ghana's most respected and transformative leaders in policing, former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed ALHASSAN. Indeed, it is an honor to be part of the launch of this remarkable book. It is with profound humility to be recognized by a former colleague in whom I am deeply motivated and inspired by his perseverance, dedication, and leadership to the Ghana Police Service. Our gathering here today is not only to celebrate just a publication of a book, but a journey of creativity, innovation, and passion. As we reflect on his remarkable career in the Ghana Police Service and ultimately ascending to the position of IGP, we recognize the tangible changes, monumental achievements, and lasting impact he has had on the service, shaping the future of policing in Ghana. I wholeheartedly relate to the remarks made by other speakers and attest to Mr. ALHASSAN's qualities. He was indeed a great man whose leadership was both visionary and practical. In my 39 years, I'm getting to 39 years of the service, I've encountered many individuals, many have come and gone, each leaving their own mark. However, the legacy of Mr. ALHASSAN continues to bear fruit, from which we all benefit today. I vividly remember the time when Mr. ALHASSAN became the IGP, like everyone else in the service. He used to make his appointments, and that is to form his administration for the effective management and performance of the police service. I had not worked with him before, nor did I have any personal relationship with him at that time. Naturally, I assumed that being one of the younger deputy commissioners and still in the early stages of my career, I would likely be posted to areas within less favorable regions. Many of the senior colleagues had already received their postings when we were all invited to the National Police Headquarters in 2013. I noticed that several of them, whom I consider highly qualified, have been assigned to regions that seem less challenging relative to their experience and qualifications. When it was finally my turn to be called in, my heart raced. I feared the worst, but instead, Mr. ALHASSAN surprised me. He said, "Young man," I responded, "Yes, sir."
You have received a national award for